Do you ever start up a game of chess, play e4, think nothing of it, and see your opponent play the Caro-Kann, and then you just look at them in utter disgust? That used to be me. I found this fun line against the Caro-Kann by reviewing a World Championship match between Tal and Botvinnik where Tal played it. You know it must be sound if Tal played it, right? Basically, the Caro-Kann is a very solid opening. What you want to do when someone plays a solid opening is you want to turn it into a game of caveman chess. Bring it out of their comfort zone. Tell them to stand up, turn it into a bar fight. So that is what we are here to do, and that is what I'm about to explain. So, knight c3 or knight d2, we're not going to play the advanced. Both these moves are typically the same 9 times out of 10. They're taught to take, and you're going to take with the knight. The only reason I like knight d2 is because say they don't take, I don't want to ever get pinned with the knight on c3. I like going c3 and playing it in more of a tirage fashion. 9 times out of 10, though, they are going to take, so that is what we will discuss. We're not going to review the Tartakower today. That will be in a separate video. We are going to review the main line, that is bishop f5. In the Caro, they want to play c6, they want to play e6. They don't want to play e6 with their bishop on c8. It's going to be in jail behind a light squared pawn chain forever. They want to get their bishop out of the pawn chain before shutting down the light squares. So they play bishop f5. Knight g3 to gain a tempo, bishop g6, h4 threatening to trap the bishop. h5 is not a good move. Their only good move is h6. The reason h5 is not a good move is because this bishop, yes, it is weak. Here it gets kicked out. More so, this pawn is weak. For the rest of the game, you're going to build pressure on h5. And what are they going to do? Are they going to really play g6? I doubt it. That would be quite a bishop. It would have quite a scope on the chessboard. So, h6, main line, and here, yes, you can play knight f3 and enter games that go into 25 moves of theory where it is an equal position, and you can also fall asleep. We're not here to do that. We are here to play fun chess. Knight 1 to e2. The point of this move is that you're going to go knight to f4, so you move the knight twice, you open up your light squared bishop now, you gain a tempo on the light squared bishop, right? They don't want you to take, because then they're going to have this isolated central e-pawn. That looks atrocious. So they are going to retreat their bishop, and now you are going to develop your light squared bishop. Another reason I like this, in the other lines, you go bishop d3. I mean, you got to go pawn c3 first to guard d4, but you go bishop d3. There's going to be a bishop trade. Here you keep pieces on the board. Now, when I studied this, knight f6 was the theory that I studied. When I played it in a tournament, the response I got, bishop to d6. A bad move, but you need to know why. Luckily, it was a classical game, and the reason I was able to think of it, I was like, okay, what does knight f6 do that bishop d6 does not do, right? That's how you should think when you study theory. What does this move do? They did something else. What does that move not do? Well, knight to f6 cuts the queen off from guarding h4, which is why I'm able to castle in that line. Knight f6 also covers h5. Bishop d6 does none of those. In fact, it also weakens g7. So, h5 not defended, g7 not defended, light bulb, knight g to h5, putting pressure on g6. They're not going to go knight f6, they're just going to lose a pawn. If they go g6, you just go knight g7 check. Do you see the tactic? Has to do with e6. You have 2 knights attacking it. After the knight takes the pawn, this is a fork. You are epic queen. That is winning. If they don't go king f8, if they try to run away in the center of the board, you use the 7th rank knight to take on e6, so you can backwards capture and your knight's not trapped. They're going to take, you take with the bishop, gaining a tempo. I doubt they're going to go to the center of the board. They are going to get checkmated. Here, you retreat your bishop. Why do you retreat the bishop? Well, that is a fork. That is a queen. They're probably going to remove your knight because it's threatening to win a queen. No one wants to lose a queen. And the king has to go to b6. Now you just hunt the king down, and there are many checkmating ideas that can ensue very, very quickly. So that's if they go g6. Much of the time, they are going to go bishop takes f4. We're going to go bishop takes f4, and again, probably king f8 to guard the pawn. They don't want to go g6. The reason they don't want to go g6 is because you have bishop to e5 check, and their rook is going to get trapped in that line. We'll get there from a deviation, that is king f8, queen g4. We add pressure to g7. I've had many games here where, in blitz, I've had many games where people go g6. This is a mistake, again, because bishop b5, the rook gets trapped. Oh no, both my pieces are attacked. That doesn't matter, they're going to get checkmated. Look at this connect 4. So it is forced checkmate here. You go queen takes e6, setting up an unstoppable battery on f7. You might think, unstoppable. They can just go queen e7. They're going to trade queens. We don't even have anything. They have a great bishop here, by the way. Right? So much range. But no, queen e7 doesn't stop mate because bishop d6 pins the queen. They cannot stop checkmate. That is a fun line. Other lines regarding this position are if they do not go bishop d6. So if they don't go bishop d6, then you do not go knight gh5. Knight f6 main line, we castle. They cannot take on h4. Now bishop d6 makes much more sense. And here, what Tal played in the World Championship match, what the theory behind this line is knight takes e6. You might think, hey, why would I give up a knight? Well, their king is stuck in the center of the board. There is that. The king cannot castle. It is going to turn into a king hunt. Here, their best moves are knight to d7 and queen to c7, saying, hey, I'm going to castle. And then you give a discovered check and you're like, no, you're not. Now, if they go king d8, it's just the worst of the two king moves because their rook gets trapped on the queen side, right? King f8, trades are going to help them. They want their rook to have as much vision as possible. We went to g8 to snap off their bishop. They're not going to take with the knight. That just discombobulates their knight and puts it away like it's not even on the board. They're probably going to go rook takes bishop, the better of the two moves. We remove their bishop. Why? Well, to infiltrate with knight to f5. Now they cannot damage our structure. Everything is preserved. We gain a tempo. In Tal's match, his opponent played g6 to open up the rook. Then bishop takes h6 was played. Then knight takes d6 with a check was played. Bishop g5. White has 3 pawns for the knight. Have you ever had a king and 3 pawns versus a king and a knight? That knight's not doing anything to those pawns. 3 pawns for a knight. Perfect structure. We also have a very good bishop. Their knights are kind of tied down. Beautiful position for white. I think more common is going to be rook to e8. This is what most of my opponents play. And rook takes rook. Now they could take with the king. They could take with the knight. Regardless of which piece they take with, you probably want to move your queen. I like playing queen f3 just because there's a lot of vision here. Sometimes there's even tactics with bishop takes h6 if their knight is undefended and you end up picking the other knight. That's kind of long term. The basic explanation, get your queen out, get your bishop out, checkmate the king. It is in the center of the board. If knight takes, this is another option that they have. Queen to d3 is very good here, threatening knight takes bishop. So for example, imagine they waste a move, they lose on the spot to knight takes d6, and we win a rook. So that is this line in a nutshell. I hope you enjoyed it. It's a very fun line. Giving up a piece for activity, the computer calls it equal. If a computer is calling a line equal, you know how harsh a computer is, the judgment it has. So if that's calling it equal, there's more than enough compensation for it. 2, sometimes 3 pawns, activity, central control. And yeah, you get to play very aggressive and just cut off a lot of files. So who else other than Tal would show us such a fun line? Now, one game I wanted to show you with a game that I had with it. Yes, it reached a middle game. You could see the similarities. I got castled queenside and clearance sacrifice. Is the king going to go back and get trapped on the 8th rank, or is the knight going to take? He chose to take with the knight. Then you sack the rook. Queen takes f7. This king is trapped by just our queen on the h file. You're threatening checkmate in 1. Bishop to e4, stopping the checkmate. Bishop to d3, trying to deflect the bishop to checkmate them. They go queen f6, going for a bunch of trades. Now, can you find the checkmate in 2 here? I'll give you some time to pause the video and look for checkmate in 2. If you said the move, rook, h1, you are correct. My opponent resigned in this position. Their only move is bishop takes rook. And after bishop takes rook, I wish people played till checkmate, to be honest. It'd be a lot nicer. But queen h7, checkmate, battery, king trapped on the h file. And yeah, this is some damage that the line could do, even if it, trods closer to an endgame. Hope you enjoyed. Let me know if you found the tactic. Let me know what you think. And let me know what opening video you want next. As always, thank you for watching. Have a good day.